This is the Poetry Reading and Roundtable edition of People and Their Poems, hosted by Sandy Lee Carlson.
Welcome to the monthly Poetry Roundtable hosted by Oronog Mountain Publishing and People and Their Poems podcast. It's great to have everybody here for the April meeting, and we're super thrilled to invite Prithvijit Sinha of Lucknow, India, to be our featured poet. He is a regular contributor, and it's just a delight to have him here, and really love the cross-cultural international relationships that build through poetry. So Prithvijit, please kick us off with your amazing poetry.
Good evening and good morning, everybody. This is Prithvijit. Once again, I'm going to reiterate the lines that I often reiterate every time I'm here. It's a privilege and it's an honor to be amongst all of you, to see your faces. It feels so reassuring in this fractured world. The fact that we have built a community which is so strong and so robust, it really means so much to me, more than just a symbol. It's a concrete reality for me. So I'm just going to start my poetry recitation today with a poem that I wrote. It's actually the first poem that I ever wrote back in 2015. It was written as a Teacher's Day dedication on the power of education. It got rejected by some higher-ups, but it kickstarted the trajectory, which has, made me reach this point where I can share it across borders. So here it is. It was written as an ode to Malala Yousafzai and a story of resilience. The sand dunes. Thunder was his stride. In observing tact lay my pride. With limbs outstretched, I wanted to fly. His shadow cut me short. Fathers, brothers, and guardian angels, where do I then take my flight? I never was told to take my steps back, but knew my way was in walking around silent fortresses, a walled city fortified by roving eyes. Yet I prevailed. I raised my voice, pipped their power. Fathers, brothers, and guardian angels told me to maintain a dignified, shy, cool, feminine, womanly honor. I defied their every word. Armaments of hate, instruments of rebuke aimed at me, they hovered around, watched my every move with bloodshot eyes. As if I knew my moon had stains on it. My old man told me otherwise. He said, "Don't let the desolate apex tear you down. You were meant to break stereotypes." On most fine days, eagles circled my sparse valleys' upper reaches looking for prey. Every time a muffled giggle passed my lips. Weren't we to praise down here in our own sanctuaries? Bombs and guns sheared our spirits. Only if he could see it was not fear of death that held us captive. It was a nightmare of disrobing, wails of silence which outraged our modesties. For a century, we bowed our heads in shame, prostrated at the feet of our lords, masters, and commanders, bore them a generation to stake their manhood on, a feudal twirl of the mustache, informing the world of the invincibility. And then our doors were latched. That was it. Our work was done, they said. Dare to cross your thresholds, and you will know. I, with head held high, with eyes sparkling bright, led the doors ajar. Caught on the wrong side of barbed fences and ripe age, I read the psalm of enlightenment, took the pen to be mightier than their rough-edged swords. Till one betokened day saw me bloodied, half dead on the sand dunes of time. Choke her last breath of resilience, look down the imperious comrades of God's will at her trembling, wincing self. Wielding weapons of impotency, they sneered at me. A cold shiver then passed down my spine. A few moments ago, my life flashed before my eyes. Never for once did the hardship strain them. But was it all for nothing? I was dead till I awoke. A new day embraced me in its bosom, taking me by my hands, made me climb every stage where my voice trebled. In the blink of an eye, I was the ambassador of fate. Shadows of silence had crept out of my skin and stood bare before every crooked eye, vulgate mouth, pointing finger. I was born to crusade. I became the light that gives way to darkness. I took the noble token in my hands. Don't spare your rods the chance to hit me hard if I fall on your path, but fear the light of my virtue. Look at how my flame becomes a fireball. See your serrated edges melt as I etch our names on the sand dunes of time. Thank you. It's titled Goodbye, Ottawa, a continuation of my voice of protest and rebellion against all those people who made the world famous painter Maqbool Fida M.F. Hussain flee his homeland for United Arabian Emirates, where he passed away from his beloved city, away from his beloved people, just because they felt that he, being a Muslim, he did not have the right to paint Hindu gods and scriptures, something which he had done so beautifully as to script a new saga of secularity back home. But this is an elegy as well as a eulogy for him and all artistic spirits out there. Goodbye, Ottawa. 'Tis the civil disobedience of our times. Those who are raised from the dust and elevated to the sky are sooner sacked to morgues of idealistic damnation. It so happened when barracks of filthy verbal mudslinging and stone pelting broke and cracked open panes of an artist's glass house. There, in solitary splendor, a man's deft strokes brought the easel to life, made images fly in and out of the paintbrush, and hues of minimalistic melody brokered tender rhythms with the mind's open eye. A brooch of colorful drama, an anklet of dreamy similitude, a coquetry of feminine beauty, a burst of unbridled expression. Dancing with the portraits that angled for our attention, communicating with cadences of a generation's sensory glide, singing a song of eternal spring, they nestled in the summer of imagination. He was a god of small things, a restless prince, an exalted pauper in a land of open pageantry. Rain, hail, or storm, thundering was a march of his creative stomp that rejuvenated youth, reigned over a new era. Vital signs of Renaissance held their hands and illuminated their shadows, beautifying their stance. Resplendent was his aura. They called him a visual aurora, whose sight beheld scenes of wonder and hailed his melody and mastery. But for the contagion, the world's slow stain, the log of frenzied hate cannibalized his potency even before he called it a day. Vandalizing his spirit, exiled him to the gardens of a deathly halo. All through, he smiled and walked bare feet as always, like a decorated wreath in a castle of headless ghosts. The fag end was now near. The champions had held their sticks and stones. The legend, Christ-like, stood crucified. Garlands of spite and fading imprints were his dowry at this hour, while his heart bled and his eyes cried tears of a dying conscience. With a giant thud he fell down, turned to dust whilst his tears mellowed, a sobbing humanity's last call. The end was near, and he knew it. The disowned Ottawa swan song was written. Devoid of a grand exit, he travelled to the other end of the horizon. The adieu, long-lived, still awaits an echo. The Ottawa now paints in bold strokes, caressing the far end of the spectrum with his magical fingers. His bare hands etch a scenery of vital redemption, waiting to be draped in the tricolour of recognized voices who robbed from him in the final act. Thank you. Thank you so very much. And in that spirit, I introduce to you one of the poems which I wrote not too long ago. It's titled dually as Umbrica and America. Umbrica is often used as a localized term for the United States of America by those who live in India and many other countries of the East. And I know that you all will find it very pertinent to your nation and also the world at large. America. Something shifts in the elders' prose. An ancient order that once carved stone helixes of hellfire and brimstone now enacts characterizations of anxiety over high winds. It is the same old sorry state and the same old story. Not today, we say, while looking at weather vanes in the Badlands, jettisoning counties left like ashtrays and fish bowls by forest fires. Coyotes walk the distance back from the lion's mouth and swap places with hungry jackals. It is obvious. We see what we want from the bloated wombs of culture. Don't make me laugh through nervous, skittering teeth. We both know how it is. The lion hearts are just figures of speech, perishables of the human spirit, eaten by their own fears of getting out and being impounded by fleshly orange groves in the desert. Gentlemen make bad blood out of even beetroots and white supremacy out of milk rations. We have been standing in line for 10 years. From steeples, the bibuts or the grotesque eats our souls, gargoyles tearing our epidermal walls of softness. You and your hard-boiled buddies eat us up like early ape men. Only those early ape men didn't know any better. You leave us flashing our bodies with holes like stomata, like voodoo children off the coast of the Indian Ocean. We are dying before our time. You sell us down the river, lost and gone towards the Gulf of Florida. Thank you.
Amazing.
And my final poem is a detour away from all the human avarice and corruptions and sorts of retreats back into the folds of nature, which is innocent, unbesmirched, and untainted by any force of human nature. It's titled A Scar. It's a very unique poem because it was based on this little tear on my sandal, which I wore while I walked every day. And it somehow inspired me to write this paean to nature and its vitality and strength. A scar. There's a scar on my brown sandal, akin to a star sign. I think it is beautiful how even the break in the leather tissue has a certain poetry to it. A tiny inner white thread has now started to show up out of the earthy crack, like a seedling intent to sprout in the most extraordinary space of its own. It is the visuality of it, the poetics of it, my eyes transferring pretty possibilities to this mundane item that could have been condemned and thrown out. But now, after the first drops of delayed rainfall have opened up the skies for long-term engagement with our plains, I'm certain that flowers will grow out of that tear in the outer surface. I'll leave it out on the stone. I'll leave it out on the stone. It will house a green empire soon within it. Maybe an innocent bunch of shivlis or daisies will find its cozy little bed in it first. You don't pray for these things. They happen intrinsically in nature. That is the miracle. Thank you.
I love that last line. That was a great last line.
Yeah.
So true.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
There were so
Holy
many
smokes.
wonderful lines. So the
Yeah.
way, the sound of the words, the music, the only one I can remember is dowry and hour, but there was, alliteration, there's rhyme, there's just, along with the powerful imagery.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
so lovely.
Holy smokes,
I couldn't
Prithvi.
write down the number of beautiful lines in there. I could only get a couple. Just amazing. Bloated wounds of culture. I mean, there were white supremacy came out of. Couldn't get down the rest of that, but it was just line after line. It was amazing, Bridget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Holy smokes.
I go along with Sharon. Yeah,
Yeah.
tremendous,
Mhm.
tremendous imagery in there. And I just felt so much was coming from your own inner self. It was wonderful.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, and to
Thank you.
be able to write what's happening on the outer and how it affects you and everybody else that is not able to express. Prithvi, this just fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Yes, good for you. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so very much.
Culture definitely got me too. And I think the sort of the epic nature of the artist that you mentioned in the second
Yeah.
poem. And I think it's something that you do culturally in your poems. When you write about your culture, you bring an epic quality to the ordinary people that you celebrate. And it takes it out of time. And I think coming from a culture where time is a different idea than it is here. Like we think 250 years is a big deal, right? You know,
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
It creates a very different cultural experience. But I mean, and I'm going on, but I think reading your poems and the layering in of the imagery creates a different intellectual demand, I think, than a lot of American poetry does. So it becomes a very different cultural experience. So thank you for letting me share the link to the document for people to be able to read. And if you want it autographed, you're going to have to connect with Prithvi by yourself.
Prithvi,
Thank you so very much.
can you say a few words about the connection? I didn't follow in your poem Sand Dunes, I think you said was dedicated to Malala Yousafzai.
Yes.
Can you just say what the connection is there? Because I didn't see it.
Sure. So this poem was actually written as a prompt for a Teachers' Day celebration back home. And we celebrated in order to commemorate a first president of India, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. He was not actually the first president, sorry, but he was most influential. And he started his career as a very dedicated teacher, a very conscientious individual. So basically, I wrote this. It was my first poem. It was my first attempt at writing verses, and hence the rhyming scheme, something which I have abandoned perhaps along the way, but I think it fits the narrative here. And I thought that if you want to talk about education, why not talk about somebody who braved every possible odds as an individual in this beautiful valley of Pakistan, which was otherwise populated by free-minded individuals who wanted her to shut up. And Malala Yousafzai did not get silenced or threatened. And her father had a great role in telling her not to be bound by the traditional roles that society tells you to follow. And she did that at 14 and 15. She was already equipping the young girls of a valley to get themselves educated, to not fall into early marriages, to not be conditioned to just be mothers and then grandmothers and just fall out of earth, doing nothing in your life, achieving something on your own. And for this, the Taliban issued decrees against her and eventually shot her down while she was on her way home from school on a school bus. And we all know that that transpired in the most brutal fashion. She survived the attack. But if you observe Malala Yousafzai, even to the present day, the bullet which hit, I think so, the right side of her face or the head, her facial contortion somehow still remains. You know, she has a little bit of tick when she talks because that affected her speech, but it did not affect her motor abilities or anything else. And today she is a brand ambassador for women's empowerment, education, and bringing in the distorted traditional narratives out of nations and societies where people especially continue to put women in a box, in a dungeon, where it's very difficult to escape because the outer world is so full of wolves that you sort of understand the skewed logic that, of course, if I stay in this dungeon and I'm fed and I'm clothed, it's all right. So Malala wanted to challenge all of those notions, and she won the Nobel Peace Prize. Incidentally, she won the Nobel Peace Prize along with India's Kailash Satyarthi, who has dedicated his whole life into rescuing street children out of trafficking, out of the begging mafia, and out of every possible incendiary situation that can befall them. And here's the thing: why I shared these poems with you all is because sometimes every misery or point of suffering sort of gets contained within nations which are low income or which fall in the Far East or Southeast Asian. But my experience, and of course, all our reading and scholastic abilities and discernment tells us it happens everywhere. It happens in America, it happens in the most developed part of the world. But it was imperative for me to make this particular but also universal. And that is why I chose those particular lines. And I think it's a great opportunity for me to mouth those lines aloud. I had wanted to do that. It was as if it was a point of catharsis. I had to share those lines. And I think at this point in life, this was the moment that this poem and Goodbye Ottawa, which was written 2 months after that in 2015, was waiting for. So I thank you all as usual.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing that and then enlightening us on those topics right there with you. So thank you very, very much. Would somebody like to jump in now as we start the open mic portion of the roundtable? Okay, Betty Lou, go right ahead.
This is called Holy, Holy, Holy. Seems like a good time for it. Lord of the universe and of me, Lord of stars and heavens, Lord of ants and elephants, of hummingbirds and hawks, Lord of this planet Earth, show us the way. Teach us Christ's love, Christ's humanness, Christ's courage, Christ's vulnerability, Christ's tenderness. Teach us to listen, then to understand, then to act. Teach us to let go of hurt, of narrow vision, of needing to control. Teach us to hold on to each other, to faith, knowing I believe, help my unbelief, to friendship, to our blessings, to our pets, to our hopes, to our dreams, to our willingness to please you, to the magic of each day. Help us to be mindful of squirrels flying, coyotes howling at night, bee and butterfly, the shy stranger. Help us to hear music of frogs and birds, blending of human voices, melody of violin, guitar, piano, trumpet, flute and clarinet, bass drum, Cajun drum, cymbals and bells, harmonizing in perfect pitch with your universe, Lord. Help us to see what a rich tapestry of life you designed for us, Lord. It is a spellbinding world you have created for a trying and hopeful humanity. We thank you for loving us, for forgiving us, for giving us countless opportunities to return to your loving presence. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Betty Lou.
That's uplifting.
I know you're just down the road from me right now, but we've had this amazing spring day, and it's just been an unfolding of natural wonders. And Flanders Nature Center, they posted a video on their social media this week. Speakers up, and it was the peepers in the vernal pool, and it was, it just turns your poem, and like these things, turns our focus back to the miracle of spring. So thank you for that.
Our Easter Sunday is sanctified thanks to Betty Lou, ma'am. Thank you so very much for that.
You're welcome.
Would anybody like to read next?
Okay. I want to do two short pieces. They're both works that I've written recently because it's National Poetry Month. So we should be writing at least one poem every day, even if it's a tanka haiku. This one is called Going Over the Speed Limit. Having a fast car doesn't mean that you have to go over the speed limit every day. Some days you cruise, you slowly take the open road without barely engaging the throttle. Other days, speed limits are invisible. No boundaries, traps, or violations deter. Obstacles become invisible. Charged, reckless operation, but the pulsation when the turbo kicks in sends care to the abyss. Because going over the speed limit is a thrill everyone dabbles in at least one time while taking the open road. That's my first piece. And then the second piece, the poem, the prompt was to, do something with a countdown. So I said, well, let me play with this countdown thing. The countdown. 5. It's a time for comfort to be shifted so the burdens can be lifted. 4. Deep breaths. A pause for the push for increased momentum. 3 steps of faith, because the gate is all an illusion. It takes work to reach a conclusion. 2 hands are needed for the clap to resound, because the crown must be lifted before resting on the head. 1 soul is all we have, and we must nurture our spirits, keeping balance always at the forefront. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Lynette. Where are you finding your prompts for National Poetry or International Poetry Writing Month?
I'm going to share the link. I found it on Instagram because these days I've been looking for more prompts, to be honest with you, because I live in the Caribbean. So I have butterflies, I have lizards, I have snakes, chickens. The sky is usually beautiful on most days. We have visitors coming. So there's a lot of inspiration. But sometimes you want to just kind of step outside of what you know and what you see and find different things. So I found 30 on Instagram. And actually, there's a Facebook post as well, but I didn't actually find a Facebook post. A friend of mine would share. But I'm going to share that list with you guys because I find good inspiration from them.
Well, thank you. And those were great poems. And I typed into the chat the line that, just stayed with me. The crown must be lifted before resting on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Those earned honors. Thank you. Did anybody else want to comment on Lynette's work?
I love
the way. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I love the poem about everybody should be going over the speed limit at least once. That's great.
Yeah.
That last poem, I love both the rhyme in it and the rhythm of the poem and the format of the poem going counting. It was just like very few words with a huge amount of impact for me.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynette. Yeah.
Yes, we need the joy. So thank you. And it's just the momentum from Betty Lou's prayer and reflection to Lynette's joy. And now we've got what Isabel's going to read for us today. Go ahead, Isabel.
And let me just add, I've been looking at poetrysuperhighway.org/PSH is putting a prompt out every day. If you go to that website or to their Facebook, you'll see a prompt, and the prompts are coming from us, from people who have submitted. So it's fun.
Interesting.
I was after hearing Prithvi, his first poems, I was going to read something with a very loud voice, but I've decided on something a little more personal and a little sweeter, perhaps. Making beef stew for Cousin Mason. Mother was gone somewhere visiting one of the sisters and their incipient family, no doubt. My brother was probably at prep school, so Daddy and I were holding the fort. Cousin Mason paid us a visit, and I was the hostess. Mason Alcott was his name, a special name to me because my middle name was Alcott, a family name on my mother's side. He was a figure grown large in my mind. He grew up in India. His parents were medical missionaries in India. He married an Indian woman, Sarah, who washed her waist-length hair every day, my mother said, and we had the same name. He was about the age of my dad, maybe a little older. He was very tall and so nice. I was excited and very nervous about making dinner for them. Beef stew. Who bought the ingredients? Had my mother gotten them together knowing he was coming? I don't know, but I read the recipe carefully from Betty Crocker's cookbook with the red and white plaid cover. I dredged the beef cubes in flour, seared them in a big pot that would hold all the vegetables too. I proceeded with the recipe, serving the stew to my appreciative audience at a well-laid table. They were happy and having a great conversation. They included me too. When I took my first bite, I wanted to die, skulk off back to the kitchen, out the back door and away. The meat was so tough. I had no idea it should have cooked all afternoon. Their teeth must have been very strong, much stronger than my 8-year-old teeth, some of which were still baby teeth. Their faces never betrayed an ounce of struggle, praising my burning face to high heaven. Lent is over tomorrow, so we can eat beef again, but I'm a vegetarian.
Great to know the India connection.
I immediately thought of this story because he was such a wonderful family person. I didn't see him that often, and he was very political, Prithashit. So when I knew you were reading, I immediately thought of him. Yeah. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste back to you.
I had a disaster when I was young, in presenting a birthday cake to some friends of my family, and so I can relate very personally to it, Isabel.
Oh yeah.
And it was very appreciated by my parents and my and their friends, and so I realized that everything doesn't have to be perfect.
We all have to start from somewhere, right?
Yes.
For sure. Who would like to read next? Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, I was inspired by, excuse me, Prinjivit, and you'll have to excuse me for my pronunciation with some Indian words here. But this is a poem that I wrote maybe 7 years ago. I read an article in the New York Times about a place in India. I believe it's called Vrindavan. And it's where they welcome widows because in some places in rural India, apparently, if a girl is married, a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old is married to a 60-year-old man and he dies, she gets blamed and she will be thrown out. Even if she's had children, she's thrown out away from her children. She's blamed. And there's this city where the widows are welcomed and they are taken care of and they live as sisters all together and they can celebrate the holidays like Holi, for Lord Krishna. And so that's what this poem is about. City of Widows, Vrindavan, India. After my father died, his family spat at me. What do we want with you? Another mouth to feed? Get out. My bones could not support me, and I fell in the gutter, begged for food. My Lord Krishna guided me here to my sisters, where I am wanted, loved, where we celebrate Holi, the festival of colors, spring, new beginnings. We toss iridescent powder, coat ourselves in paint, and whirl in kaleidoscope colors swaddled in love. All is gone. My husband, my parents, my children. Yet Lord Krishna showers me with rose petals. I dance until I fall on the floor. Thank you, bones, for 80 years of dancing. Thank you, skin drenched in colors. Thank you, hips that sway to music. Thank you, voice, for laughter and love. My husband's mother said I killed him. How careless of me to let him die. I was worse than a stray dog, 20 years old, a disgrace. Now, sisters pull me to my feet, embrace me, entice me. We dance, link arms, and my voice is unleashed. I sing to life that surprises us. I sing to warm arms enfolding me. And the heart I feel as I lay my head on my sister's chest. Petals tickle my toes. Pungent marigolds mingle with rose. My sari and skin stained in purple hues, purple as the heart beating beneath my ear, purple as the pounding rhythm of joy.
Thank you. Thank you for that poem. It means a lot that you thought about those women. They do exist till today. And every detail that you relayed is absolutely true. It's a cursed ritual that has continued since generations. And I got a little teary-eyed, especially when you were progressing with your poem, because uh, I've not seen that in my family or immediately, but I cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that it happens to thousands of women till this day.
Right.
And thank you so very much that you ingrained all those details, the holy, the petal shower, which is so evocative and symptomatic of Vrindavan. And Vrindavan is one of those places where even if you are clothed in the most ordinary drab colors, that place just comes alive because it rings with spirituality, with extreme devotion to Lord Krishna. And you're right, these women who have not known anything of life beyond the strictures and restrictions, they do get emancipated to a large degree by their spiritual faith, and they do exist to be septuagenarians or even nonagenarians, perhaps bypassing the lives that human hands decided for them. Thank you so very much. Made me cry, but you also celebrated their spirits to survive.
Yeah,
It means a
thank
lot
you.
to me. Thank you.
And I was just gripped by the mercy that's being shown, the cruelty and then the mercy. It's just um, people need to love each other and take care of each other. It's like the bottom line, no matter where you are on this planet. And so, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
Yep. Thank you.
Somebody like to read now? Okay, Tom, go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here. Thank you, Sandy, for doing this. It is Easter tomorrow, and I'm going to read a poem in honor of my brother. He's still alive. He's 7 years older than me. I was born in 1949, so he was born in 1942. And maybe, I hope you can see this cutting board. My brother made this in high school in what they called shop class for my mother. And my mother loved cats. Again, here it is, cat. And I still use it to today. my mother passed away cleaning out her apartment. I found this. And so I wrote a poem about it and about my brother, um, and what he is doing now. He lives in New Hampshire. This cutting board for my brother, Marty. This cutting board has seen its share of sliced carrots, onions, celery, peppers, cheese, bread, and tomatoes. This cutting board was made by my brother when I'm guessing he was 14 or 15, a freshman or sophomore in high school, because at age 16 he quit school and joined the Air Force. It had to be high school because he made it in what is now called industrial arts, but back then was simply called shop. This cutting board was made with love because he carved it in the shape of a cat, because he knew our mother loved cats and would treasure a thing made by him, a useful thing made by him, but a beautiful thing made by him in the likeness of a cat. This cutting board has two holes carved through the wood for eyes on the cat's head, a head topped by two cat ears. The body of the board has on the top a long curve rounded to the rear, and then on the bottom a straight line to the front, ending in a slight pointed bulge beneath the curve of the head. In other words, it was a cat at rest, looking at you, as cats do at rest, with love, or gratitude, or just plain curiosity. This cat had a sheen to it, as my brother had varnished it to bring out the grain of the wood, the tawny color of the cat's fur. The varnish is worn off now, except at the cutting board's edge, a sign of its many years of usefulness. This cutting board my mother loved, and she used it, and now I have it. It was with her kitchen stuff when I cleared out her apartment after she died, and I use it nearly every day. And I always think of her when I use it. And I think of my brother. My brother made it in 1956, I'm guessing, and it's now 2024, 2026, 20, a long time for any kitchen utensil, but when things are made with love, they last a long time. Love lasts a long time. And now you, my older brother Marty, who is always so skilled with your hands, as our mother would say, have another craft. You are 81 now, and you make crosses to honor Jesus. Jesus, who taught us not only eternal life, but most importantly, love. And with love, you make these crosses out of copper wire that you twist skillfully in your small workshop in your trailer, and you give them to people. And if they want to make a donation, you accept it. But if they don't, it's a gift, you say, because you do it out of love, just as Jesus did. And after all, Jesus was a carpenter, and he too was skilled with his hands. He may have even made a cutting board for his mother, Mary. Some things seem to last forever, like this cutting board I still use today after all these years, like the wire crosses you make that might last forever, like the life that Jesus gave to give us life, like the gift of love. This cat, this wood, these crosses, my brother, our mother, this God, this love. Some things seem to last forever. Some things do. Yeah. Thank you. Um, my brother just finished making a couple of hundred crosses to give to missionaries who are going to Africa. So he's still hard at it.
That was great, Tom. That
Yeah.
was great. You know, in the lines where you're describing the detail, makes you stop and think of what he as a teenager had to think through and was learning from his teacher about the craftsmanship and the effort that went into making that
Yeah.
for your mom. And in our part of the woods, I think the shop teachers taught the kids to make footstools because I have my great uncles and my dads. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
All
did you
right,
want
cool.
to say something?
I just wanted to say, Prabhuji, one other thing, and that is that it's sort of like your honesty and sharing and your courage in sharing has expanded how I feel about brothers and sisters around the world. It sort of expands my sense of where I belong in this world and how it fits with where you belong in this world. So thank you. So this is a poem from my first book. It's called If. If you haven't gazed at the sky today, not a passing glance, but a deep drinking, gulping gaze, go outside. Do it now. We'll wait. If when you close your eyes, you can't feel the touch of air on skin, soften your edges, become porous, take up space. If you've forgotten how to dance without regard, stand right up, shake and stomp, slide and sway like a 2-year-old simply delighted by her music. If you haven't laughed once today, or even if you have, put a hand on your belly and force a big guffaw. Feel sweetness fill your veins. If you find yourself acting more often out of obligation than desire, burn down your house and run as fast as you can toward what gives you joy. Thank you.
Oh, Sharon, that was just amazing. I think more people need to hear these words. I mean, all the work today has been inspiring. I always love coming to these readings, but Sharon, you kind of just lit a fire in me because we need people to hear these types of words with everything that's happening so terrible in the world. We still need to realize we still have life. We still have sunlight, whether we have snow or whether we have rain or whether we have a hurricane.
Yeah.
We still have life. I thank you so much for those words.
Thank you, Lynette. I always remember Rumi lived through Genghis Khan, and he was the most joyous poet I've ever read. I mean, he was his family was on the road. His mother died. They were on, for 20 years. And he still had this joy about being alive that just is inspiring to me. But thank you, Lynette.
Yep, burn down the house. I love that. One of my sisters had 6 sons, and they managed to burn down the house. And totally by mistake, they started a science experiment, but it was slow in happening. So they went outside to play, and meanwhile, the house caught on fire. But if I have, I'm sorry, but it wasn't fun. But they started a new life. Yeah, they got a new house. I love that part. Change. If something's not working, change your mind.
Thank you.
Sharon, I also I love the part about the guffaw. I mean, I can't wait to do that after we finish.
Laughter yoga, and there is a literal excitement of endorphins when you laugh. So your body literally gets endorphins that it wouldn't normally have from laughter. So you can just force laughter and you can feel the effects in your body. It's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sharon. Susan, did you want to read something today?
I do have a small piece.
All right, let's go.
And this is I wrote this after walking out on my deck at dusk. I call it Darkness and Life. Light fades, clouds cover the sky, not heavily or ominously, but fully, like gray, unbleached cotton balls, they scurry to their destination. In the now blackness, I know from long memory what surrounds me, although all is unseen. Lamppost stands ready for the spark. Split rail fence unrelentingly marks the boundary. Wind chime silent in the stillness. Flowering pear tree, deep in the darkness, continues its imperceptible rhythms of life.
Thank you for that beautiful meditation on the beauty out your back door. All right, and thank you everybody for joining us today for the roundtable. It's been a boost. It's been really great after one too many interesting news weeks, right? It's it's just been a real tonic to be in your company and to hear your poems today. And it'll be nice when this is alive on YouTube to kind of share the joy that way. I want to just thank Prithvijit for being our featured poet and for everybody's contributions today. You guys are really wonderful. So thank you for being a part of a beautiful day.
If you'd like to know more about what we do, please visit our website at OronogMountainPublishing.com. Check out our poetry anthologies and learn how you can take part in an upcoming collection. And learn more about our services. Let us help you publish your next book. Once again, this has been People and Their Poems, presented by Oronog Mountain Publishing. Have a great day.